Hello and welcome to my review of the Space Marines Captain in Terminator Armour. One of these models will cost you £26 and consists of 25 plastic components. The format of this review is as usual. We'll have a look at the miniature up close. I'll go through how easy it was to build. We'll have a look at the spare parts, of which there are a few. Then I'll go through the size comparisons, and finally I'll go through all of the rules found in the Space Marine 10th edition codex. Now, I was waiting for this Space Marine Captain for quite a while. There's a good number of pictures of him in the Space Marine codex. I think there's more pictures of him in that codex than the Leviathan Space Marine Captain in Terminator Armour. I was originally expecting him to come with a helmet or some kind of helmet option. That was not the case. He comes with two helmetless options, for reasons, I'm not sure why. The picture they use of the Captain in Terminator Armour in the codex is actually the Leviathan one, but you do get all of the weapon options and things as per his war gear, so at least that's something. Let's have a look at the miniature up close. I've gone for the helmet. First of all, that's the thing that you'll see straight away. I've used the, I don't normally do this, but I thought, you know, I'm building up a Dark Angels force and things, I'm going to turn him into a Dark Angels Terminator Captain, just so I can have him as that part of the force, and then I've got the Leviathan Captain Terminator Armour as just like a, you know, standard one. So I've used the Terminator upgrade sprue head, which has the Dark Angels sword and wings, and that is the only Dark Angels thing I've used on him. You know, I could have used a shoulder pauldron, I could have added some little extras and things like a blade, but I didn't. I've left it as is, except for the head. And normally I don't do that. You know, mess with the original sort of miniature. That being said, when I glued the the hand onto the wrist of the Terminator, I think there was a comment on the unboxing about, oh, what about the size of Terminator wrists and things? Well, it's just the hand, and the hand isn't any bigger than a intercessor, so you can use these combi weapons with those, just putting that out there. The weapon, I kind of like put it straight rather than arm lowered and at an angle, and if you do that, then you can follow what they've done, where, you know, the captain is kind of just like looking, kind of squeezing one out, looking straight at you, making eye contact while he's doing that, with his Stormbolter just, you know, hung limply, and the sword just like that. It's a bit odd in terms of the pose, but this one, because of the way the sort of weapon and the arm I've glued them, it turned out I kind of had to have the head at such an awkward angle. I mean, he can definitely still see what he's shooting at, but it's the most extreme angle I would want for him. And because his gun is lowered, maybe he's firing at something small, which is possible, like a grot. Maybe he's just, you know, gonna plasma some heretic Space Marine's kneecap off, I don't know, or maybe he's just on an elevated platform, but either way, he's aiming down on this rubble, which sort of adds to that elevation, I think. Looks all right. I think it's definitely an improvement of the other Terminator Captain, of the pose that they've gone for with theirs. This one looks a bit more dynamic, like he's actually doing something. The sword is lovely. I like these elbow pieces of armour. Nice detail on there. There's some writing on the power sword. The sword is very Dark Angels-esque, I have to say. The rest of it is all right. You've got one of these symbol things, maybe that you've got one of these icon things on the top. The combi weapon is all right. Again, you've got the ammunition for the plasma part underneath, and then you've got the magazine for the bolter on the top. Not sure whether that magazine, you know, over the sights affects it, or who knows, but it's the 41st millennium. Anyway, very nice model. it just depends on whether you like the Leviathan one over this one. The Leviathan one, I don't know whether it's got a bigger bait. We'll be doing a comparison later on in the video, so don't worry about that. I'll show you. But at the moment, this is the only way to get a Terminator Captain from Games Workshop's web store in this flavour. So that's the Captain, how straightforward he was. He was quite straightforward to build. There's a fair number of parts to him though, you know, 26. And here are the spare parts. Right here, as I said, you know, you don't need to go for the power sword. You can go for the OG power fist. It's, you know, a little bit of an upgrade from the standard sort of Terminator power fist, in that it's got skulls on the knuckles, and then it's got a purity seal. And he's got a clenched fist. So if you were to get a second one, I don't know why, then you can opt for the standard power fist and the storm bolter, and then you could sort of use him in a normal Terminator squad if you wanted a bit of a different pose, you know, different variety. Here is the storm bolter, nothing to really write home about with this one. You know, quite standard. You wouldn't really see any difference between this and normal Terminators. These are the two heads, and I'll give you close-ups of these. So these are the only heads that you get in the kit. One with this sort of lens, and he's clenching, and then this one with half the sort of Terminator helmet. I don't know what their fascination is at the moment of giving Space Marines half helmeted heads, whatever, but it just sucks that there isn't a helmeted you know, helmet in with this set. Then you get the other two combi weapons. Yeah, they're fine. They've got some little icons on them. So you get a combi melter and a combi flamer. Interesting to note that the combi flamer is the only one out of the three that has the bolt gun part sort of underslung. I think that works the best probably out of all of them, having the combi part of the weapon at the top, and then you can just reload at the bottom, and then it doesn't affect your sights at all, whereas the flamer still affect, well, it's a flamer at the end of the day, you know, but at least the bolt gun part isn't being affected with the combi melter. And then you get this, so if you don't fancy the cloak type thing from his waist, you can just go for a normal sort of torso waist thing. You can go for a normal sort of groin area piece of armour, which again, if you go for the storm bolter and the power fist and this, it's going to be quite a vanilla Terminator that you could possibly use in a normal Terminator squad as a sergeant. So they're all the spare parts. You do get quite a few. So size comparisons then. This is the Terminator Captain that you get in the Leviathan box set right here. Same size base, I think it's a 50mm, and yeah, I guess different strokes for different folks really. You don't get a helmet option with the Leviathan one either, and the only way to get it is, I think, either through the Leviathan box set, or there's a few little starter sets maybe you could possibly get him from. But as it stands, you can't get him individually, so this is your go-to, and it just really highlights how much bigger the Leviathan one is because of that Tyranid on a Tyranid and massive sort of tactical plateau. But in terms of actual size, if you just lower him to you know, base level, then he's going to be the same size. If you just put him on a base instead of this scenic thing, which is an option, if you were going to put him on sort of a normal base instead of the scenic thing. But there you go. You can see why I wanted the power sword. The power swords are quite similar. Leviathan one is probably a little bit longer, just a little bit. But obviously, you know, you've got the storm bolter, you don't get an option for the combi weapons, which is part of the war gear, whereas the new one you do. I do think that's more fancy icon on the top, and I do like the sort of knee icon more than this eagle thing, and I do like the dual shields on the chest there that the separate one does not have. So that's a little comparison for you between the two captains. It wouldn't really be a good captain review without comparison with more captains. So here's the captain with jump pack. Obviously there's a massive difference there in size because of the Terminator Armour, but I wanted to give you an idea of another captain, a much faster one. And then here's your standard sort of Primaris captain that comes with the Heroes box set, which I don't really recommend that much because you don't get many options at all and it's quite pricey. I recommend the Stern Guard set more, but this is the only way you can get this captain at the moment. Is through that set, and this one obviously has that I think Volkite weapon with the power sword again, so that gives you an idea of those captains. So they're all the sort of new captains that Games Workshop have released. Some other comparisons, just with, I don't know, say like a normal Terminator. If you wanted to add him with a normal Terminator, he is a little bit taller just because that's Scenic Rock. I know I'm comparing it with a you know, missile launcher one, but here's one of the Deathwing Terminators, similar size and works really well with them. Obviously he's on that 50mm base, which does look awkward, which does look odd. I mean, you could put him on at 40mm really. I've got a comparison with Belial. Belial is a fair bit taller because of that Scenic base though. Very nice Stormbolter with the sickle magazines though, and very cool blade. Similar sort of length. Belial's is probably a little bit shorter, just a little bit. But yeah, another comparison, why not? Just a Ballistus Dreadnought there, gives you an idea of Ballistus Redemptor Dreadnought. And then a comparison with my usual 40k Space Marines. Sort of standard Space Marine, absolutely dwarfs, standard one now. You've got Slight Marbo, and then you've got a Primaris Space Marine. So yeah, fair bit bigger than normal Primaris. So if you're using the newer size Terminators, the Primaris Terminators, or you're using you know, intercessors and things, or heavy intercessors in the Gravis armour, then yeah, he's going to work really well with the rest of the range. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Space Marines captain in Terminator Armour. You'll find them in your brand new 10th edition codex, and it will cost you 95 points. So it's just under that 100. So it's just under that 100 point sweet spot. His stat line reads, he's a movement of 5 inches, toughness 5, save of 2+, with an invulnerable save of 4+, 6 wounds, leadership 6+, and objective control 1. Super, how does that compare to a normal captain? Well, he's a little bit slower, but his toughness is better at 5 instead of 4. His save is obviously better because he's in that Terminator Armour, save of 2+. He's got 1 extra wound at the 6, and everything else is the same. Compared to the Gravis Armoured captain, which is another option I see and does and is included in, say, like the Dark Angels Combat Patrol, well, the Gravis Armoured captain still has that 4+ invulnerable save, but the normal save is 3+, but everything else is the same, you know, the movement, but the save is only 3+ instead of the 2+, but the captain in Gravis Armour does have that better toughness. It has a whopping toughness 6. Going through the weaponry then, it's equipped with a Stormbolter and a relic weapon. You can replace the Stormbolter with a combi weapon, and you can replace the relic weapon with a relic fist. So not just a normal power weapon or a power fist, you've got these relic weapons. So ranged weaponry then, so if you give him the Stormbolter, it's just a normal Stormbolter really, but you've got to pay close attention because the Stormbolter profile isn't necessarily the same for the captain as it is for the Terminators. Like the normal Terminator's Stormbolter is a ballistic skill 3+, for instance, whereas the captain is ballistic skill 2+, and this is the sort of the danger you get by having the same weapon on, you know, better models. You know, you'd expect the ballistic skill to be better because he's a captain, but it's just an important note to make that you've now got you know, the ballistic skill tied into the weapon, but tied in specifically to that unit. So bear that in mind. If you haven't already, you may have done this from the start of 10th. But it's a rapid fire 2 weapon, range of 24 inches, 2 attacks, ballistic skill 2+, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. Okay, it's all right, you know, it doesn't have any AP though. You could go for the combi weapon though, which is anti-infantry 4+, devastating wounds and rapid fire 1. Range is the same, it's 24 inches, but you only get one shot with it. Ballistic skill drops to 3+, strength is 4, AP 0, damage 1. But again, like I said, it does have that anti-infantry 4+ and devastating wounds. Melee weapons, so you can go for a relic fist or a relic weapon. The relic fist gives you more attacks at 5 with a weapon skill of 2+, strength 8, AP -2, damage 2. Fantastic, you know, you get 5 strength 8 power fist attacks, and then the relic weapon gives you 1 extra attack, so 6. Weapon skill is the same at 2+, but strength drops all the way down to 5. AP and damage are both the same though. Arm penetration -2 and damage of 2. He is a leader, and the model can be attached to the following units: Terminator Assault Squad and Terminator Squad, and I definitely would recommend you do that. Abilities: Deep Strike, Leader, Faction, Oath of Moment, and the other abilities: Rites of Battle. Once per battle round, 1 unit from your army with this ability can be targeted with a stratagem for 0 command points, even if another unit from your army has already been targeted with that stratagem this phase. And then another unique ability, he's got Unstoppable Valor. You can re-roll charge rolls made for this model's unit. Very important. This is why it's worth putting him in a unit of Terminators. Keywords: infantry, character, Imperium, Terminator Captain. So that is the Terminator Captain. You know, he's now got these combi weapons. You've got the relic fist or the relic sword. How does he really compare to a captain in Gravis armor? Well, he's got a lower toughness, but a better standard save. Weaponry, I would argue that the combi weapon is the most powerful out of these, although the mastercrafted heavy bolt rifle does have its uses. And also the Captain Gravis armor has access to that relic chainsword, which, although it shares the same damage, is arguably weaker than the fist and the relic weapon. If you're going for an all Terminator army like Deathwing or something, he's a must bring. I'd definitely recommend bringing him into the force. But what do you guys think of the Captain in Terminator armor? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.